like a 3-year-old 10-pointer. It's been a pretty eventful morning so far. It is November 1st, and we've probably seen a dozen does already. A 2-year-old and a 3 or 4-year-old 10-pointer. The deer are really on their feet. We're back in hunting a buck that I actually drew my bow twice on a few days ago. Couldn't get a clear shot, just a lot of cedars in the way, but you know, that kind of saved us from him seeing us as well, so it's not all bad. As far as I know, he's still in the area. We're set up kind of at a junction trail here, right on the edge of thick bedding. We got several scrapes right here. I can see 3 really good fresh scrapes right in front of us. And there's about 5 trails that come together here, so it's kind of like a wheel hub. But so we got 2 spots on this farm that I've been getting really good consistent pictures of this buck. So what I want to do is sit this out most of the morning, get down, check that camera, see if he's been through here. And if he hasn't, then I think we're gonna hike in a little farther to the other scrape set where he's been pretty consistent. So we're just gonna have to see how the morning goes and maybe get a little intel from the cameras here. But sweet November's finally here, and we're starting it off with a pretty good sit. About 12 o'clock, and the last deer we saw would have been around about 10:45, Greg.
Yeah, it's been over an hour.
Okay, it's been over an hour, probably 15-20 minutes ago. I got down and checked the camera here. It's been running over these really good scrapes, and as of the last 2 days, he has not shown up here, and previously he was very consistent with that. So what we're gonna do, take these stands in and hang it over a different scrape, deeper in amongst some thick cedars. I'm not sure if he's with a doe or is just not getting up this far, but we got a little intel. We saw a lot of bucks this morning, so with him not being up here recently, I'd say he's hanging back in the thick stuff. Get things packed up here, get down, head around through the creek, and pop up and set up over a different scrape for the evening. Well, it's about 2:15, and we went in and checked that camera back by that scrape in the middle of the cedars, and the buck was not there. So what we decided to do was back out, hunt along this creek here, and I also think it'd be a good spot to observe and see if maybe he'll bump a doe out in this pasture this evening. There's a ton of deer in it this morning, so we're gonna give it a shot right here. It's 2:30 in the afternoon here, and Greg and I are pretty much exhausted right now. I know he's been up late editing and they've been staying up late and getting up early, going out and filming, and I got in about 12:30 last night from running the tractor, and then got an hour's sleep, and then got in the truck and drove down to meet Greg to get in the tree. So we're running on fumes right now, and the only thing I've had to eat today is Lunchables. This morning's hunt, we had a ton of activity. A couple of the bucks were out chasing the does, and at one time Greg and I got a little bit curious because there were a couple younger bucks and they just kept staring up into this part of the pasture where we're set up now. I'm guessing a bigger, more mature buck had a doe, kind of corralled up in this corner of the pasture, but they were definitely looking up there and didn't want anything to do with it. They just stood and watched. So who knows, maybe the buck we were after or a more mature deer than what we had seen down there was up in this part of the pasture and grabbing their attention. So when we got done this morning, we packed up all our stuff, hopped in the creek, and followed it all the way up to my other camera on this property. Lo and behold, the deer we were after was not on camera. So we decided to back out and set up here along the creek where several trails parallel the creek and cross it. And I believe the main trail that this buck uses to get between my two cameras, when I had pictures of him on both of them in the same day, I think that's right behind us. So the plan is to be able to observe this whole pasture field where there were a lot of deer out this morning, watching to the thick cover where he might be cruising, checking for does. We can shoot both sides. I've never actually hunted in this spot on the farm, but it just makes sense for what this deer's doing. When the wind dies down, I think I'm going to let out a few grunts here. We heard some bucks grunting this morning, so might as well try. You never know what it'll attract.
Hit him again, hit him again.
I got it, come on. I got him, didn't I? I got him, Greg. I got him. Greg picked the tree. You know, the opportunities that I've been handed here in the last couple of years in the woods are unbelievable. I don't know what to say, Greg.
You just killed a monster. That's what you can say.
I'm thankful. The most important thing I'm thankful right now is my grandpa taking me hunting for the first time when I was 6, 7 years old. And we lost him to pancreatic cancer last year. That deer means more to me than anything. I'm a wreck right now. Greg gets a phone call, talking on the phone, looks up at a cedar 30 yards away. And I look up and I knew immediately who it was, so I got the bow and he's a monster.
Oh man, we knew you were gonna kill one pretty soon. Way to go, bud. We're headed back in after him tonight. We watched the big one go up to bed this morning with a doe, so.
Sweet.
Well, he'll be back out. Yep.
I hope so, man. Congrats. That's awesome. Jake said congrats too, man. That is awesome right there.
Well, we're just getting packed up. We're gonna slide down the tree and go take a look at him. Blood is unbelievable. This is the tree we were sitting in, what we shot him out of. The arrow is right there. He whipped around, turned, and ran right by our tree. Holy cow, Greg. This is one of the prettiest deer I've ever shot. All that thick hair, just, man. November 1. What an unbelievable deer. I cannot believe he walked by Greg and I at 2:45. Right away when we climbed up into the stand, I decided to hit the grunt call. I mean, we are hunting literally the edge of a bedding area. This buck came in and he ended up right at the base of the tree. Now, we could see quite a ways, and I know he was not necessarily close by, but that just goes to show that these old mature bucks can pinpoint that type of sound and any type of sound from a long ways away. My guess is that he was bedded up in the cedar thicket and he heard the grunt call and decided to come take a look. So my strategy for hunting this deer wasn't a very long time frame at all. You know, between the time I actually knew about him and I was hunting him and here we are today with him was less than a week. What we did, it all revolved around the scrapes, you know, finding out about him, trying to figure out how he was entering them, going to them, traveling between different scrapes. And basically I just got in there and got aggressive with him, because here in the next few days, if they find those first does in heat, who knows where they're going to end up. So having multiple cameras on scrapes in here allowed me to see which way he was coming from, compare times and see which one he was at during the same day. And I also had a different camera on the south side of the creek where he never showed up on. So that kind of gave me an idea, you know, which trails he was using and how he was coming and going. And that was a big part of why we chose to set up where we did. The tree stand location that we chose tonight was directly between those two cameras and had trails crossing. It was just a big intersection, and I just had a funny feeling that's the way he was going to and from those different scrapes and bedding areas. Greg and I are going to drag him across the ditch, load him up, and head back to town and celebrate this deer with a bunch of friends.
Oh my gosh, boys, man, this is a Nissen. Just the characters, what's so cool.
That's what I said last year. It's like the same deal.
Captain Hook brow tine. I mean, just a ton of points. Awesome job, buddy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How far is he here? 25?
25 to 30, somewhere in
Oh
there.
my gosh. Okay, what's the wind doing here?
Coming over
You
his
don't
back towards us.
There he is. See, okay, see, he's licking his nose. He's trying to pick up any scent of another big old devil. Oh man, so what's he now? 15?
Right.
Yeah.
So where's Luke at? To the left or right?
Right.
He's right. Oh, so it is okay.
It is more broadside than what my.
And this is where I'm like, oh boy. He's
is
gonna
the
go
racks-
straight under us.
He just keeps
Never
coming.
mind. Okay, here we go. Boom.
Oh.
Loops around.
Oh, that blood's pouring out of him. Right there, it's like, uh-oh.
Oh man.
Good job, man. That's sweet.
I think your phone call brought him in.
Yeah, it must have. I was like, they gotta be.
your side of the story. Like what
Okay, so I texted Greg and I was like, call me when you can. It's like,
the house burned down.
yeah, right. I mean, it felt like it. It's like, call me when you can. And I waited, I don't know, a couple minutes or whatever. Calls me, and it was like, what's up? And I think I got, hey, you know that footage? Giant. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're messing with me, you know? I was like, they're
245, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was like, it just didn't seem like right, you know? I was like, they gotta be messing
That
with me.
time frame.
Right. And when he called, right, I mean, literally less than 30 seconds after I answered the phone. And I'm sitting there, I can hear the wind blowing, like, and I was like, I might be able to hear this bow go off. So I like started looking for a camera. I was gonna film me. I was just gonna be like, I'm sitting here on the phone with Greg, and he said there's a giant on. I'm still on the line. Like, I couldn't find a camera, and then my mind's just racing. Like, I'm like, is it the big one that they're hunting? You know, like whatever. And I was like, I better not jinx it. And I just hung up, and I just sat there. And I looked at my phone. I got 1%. I was like, I gotta run home. So I started running home, and Greg called me back, and that's all. I was like, tell me you got him. You know. Got him.